There we are.
Well,
Hey.
hello, everybody. Welcome to Home Investing Livestream, Brunch with Brian.
Yes, and Lynette's joining us today, so that's great.
Hello,
Yay.
everybody.
How are you doing? So today we're just going to break down the business. Let's break down the business. And let's take a comprehensive view. Me being sort of a thinker brain engineer background type, I like to have a comprehensive view. So what are the 7 types of deals of real estate investing? Let's break that down. We haven't talked about that in a little while. So it's really important that you understand and recognize these deals, because as you're talking to sellers, you may be talking to any one of 5 different sellers, and you may choose any one of 5 different buyers for your exit strategy. So there's 5 kinds of sellers and 5 kinds of buyers.
I hope you're taking notes today.
With these 5 kinds of sellers and 5 kinds of buyers, you combine these to make the 7 types of real estate investing deals. So the very first deal that we like, that's number 1 on our list.
Our favorite, creative financing pretty house.
That's right. Sometimes you also hear this called a terms deal, because you're working out the terms. There's 4 terms on this deal that you have to work out. Now, if you're just buying a house from the bank or from somebody and just paying them cash, there's really only 1 term that needs to get worked out, and that is purchase price. But on a creative financing deal, you have 4 terms to work out. Purchase, that's why it's daunting for some people, and they don't even try to do creative financing deals. But once you have a great script, the perfect script, it makes everything so much easier. So you guys have the what to say system, and your primary script, and I talked about this yesterday, is going to be for your creative financing deals, is going to be your seller financing closing call script. It's about 2.5 pages long. And you're also going to use the FSBO opening call script as well if you're doing outbound calls on creative financing deals. So that's our number 1 favorite deal. Write down number 1, creative financing.
And you know what? That's a quick payday, because that non-refundable option deposit that you get from your buyer, you can spend that money right away. That's instant cash. That's one of the quickest paydays, isn't it?
It is the quickest, because people think you have to wait for the actual closing where you have to pull the title and you have to do other research and all that stuff. No way. In a pretty house deal, you could buy it on a Saturday, get the permission of the seller at the deal meeting to show the property prior to the actual closing, which, yes, you do have to pull title, but you can bring in a buyer. If you got a good buyer's list, which is easy to build nowadays, you could bring a buyer over, show them that house on Saturday night, and collect their big non-refundable option deposit.
I love it.
Technically, the second you get that contract on the pretty house, you could be turning around, advertising it, and getting a paycheck. So easily within a week, but even within a few days, if you have a buyer's list, or within a few hours, you could get a paycheck on a pretty house deal.
I love that. The quickest paycheck.
Yes.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. Who likes that quick payday? Write in the comment. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yes, that's CHA-CHING.
You're spelling
Cha-ching. Cha-ching. So yes, that's great. Now, that is our favorite deal. You get a big non-refundable. It's called your non-refundable option deposit. This check is coming from your lease purchase buyer. So in a creative financing deal, you're putting together what we call a creative financing seller, okay, or a term seller, sometimes they call them, to a buyer that is a lease purchase buyer. That's our strategy with the pretty house deal. Now, the number 2 deal.
Wholesale. And that's a quick paycheck too, because you get an ugly house where the seller will not do financing, and you go ahead, put it under contract, do an assignment, a contract to the wholesale buyer, instant payday, 5, 10, 15, 20,000, just like that.
Now, you do have to wait. You do have to wait for closing, but if you have a good wholesale buyer who's buying these properties, you're dealing with an ugly house seller here. This is a seller who's selling you their house for cash, and they have an ugly house. So then you're getting that under contract, and then you're going to the market to rehabbers who want to fix it up and selling it to a rehabber and getting a $5 or $10 or $15 or $20,000 wholesale fee. The more, the better, obviously. That's a 1 paycheck deal, which is what we don't like about it. And the cool thing about the pretty house deal is you're getting a monthly cash flow, passive cash flow, which is what we do like about that deal.
I love that.
Wholesales are great though, and your first deal might be a wholesale deal, and you can do them virtually, which is nice. Okay, which you can do on pretty house deals and anything nowadays. The third type of deal.
Number 3 is the forgotten deal. Work for equity.
Yes, work for equity is
sweat equity is another word.
Anytime you get a house that's ugly, I want you to be trying to still get terms on that house. And then you can turn around and sell it to a work for equity buyer who'll fix it up at their own expense. We did one of these where this guy, I couldn't believe we were going to even put this house back out without fixing it up. But we found a buyer and then we found the house. So we actually had this buyer on our buyers list before we got the house. Then when we got the house, we thought, oh my gosh, this house is so trash. But what was this buyer's problem? He had 4 big dogs and bad credit. And so nobody wanted this guy. So the fact that he could even get a house, like this, and he had a good down payment. Now remember, we don't want to take a $50,000 down payment if that means they're going to go ahead and buy the house really quickly. I'd rather have you taking a $15,000, $20,000 down payment from somebody who's going to take forever to qualify and maybe never qualify.
If we got good terms from the seller, set it and forget it.
That's right. If you only got 3 years from the seller, then you're going to want to get somebody in there who probably will qualify, or 2 years. However,
we have a question when you get a second.
If you get a long term, then you obviously want to get somebody who's not going to qualify. So on that particular deal, because the house was so trashed, I mean, the carpet was actually torn up and dirty, and it was really a mess. And because the guy took it without us even touching it, we let him. We only took $15,000 down, and he moved right in. So that was a good example of a work for equity deal. Okay, same thing where they're promising to fix it up at their own expense, but they're really a lease purchase tenant buyer. Okay, now number 4 deal.
Do you want to do a quick question or
yeah,
come back
sure.
to
What's
the
question?
Okay, we have a question here. Find it difficult to know what to offer when the seller has overpriced their house. How do you deal with that?
Well, remember, we don't want to make the offer. We want to try to get them.
The seller makes us the offer, and I think the question, honey, is that they're asking more than the house is worth. Okay, remember the 4 apples for the apple pie? So let's say it's nothing down and it's great monthly and they're willing to give us a 15-year term, but the price is a little high. Remember, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's 12 pretty house paydays. That's why we like to set it and forget it. So oftentimes in a hot marketplace, we can pay pretty close to what the property is worth. Now, your question is, can we pay more than the property's worth? Probably not. But keep that in mind. I want to say another thing. You guys are very conservative when it comes to getting comps. I know you're a little bit nervous and tend to be very conservative. What is one ready, willing, and able buyer willing to pay? Comps are tricky sometimes. So we go ahead and just put it under contract. Okay. Take it to the marketplace and see. Because if the seller is asking way more than you thought it was worth, maybe the seller knows something we don't know. Maybe it is worth more. What is one ready, willing, and able buyer willing to pay? And you're only risking that small little earnest money. So who cares?
So now you're not going to offer anything on this. You're going to call and talk to the seller.
The seller makes us the offer.
You're going to try to say, what's the least you'll sell for? So if you see that they're $20,000 over the Zestimate, let's say the Zestimate's $200 and they're asking $220, and you feel like they're overpriced. Again, there may be something unique about that house or different that warrants the price increase.
That's right.
If there's not, guys, if you can ask $10,000 more and get it, then whatever you're paying, and the other terms are very good. Like, for instance, Lynette's talking about the 4 terms of the pretty house deal or a work for equity deal. They're the same. And that is purchase price, monthly payment, length of term, and down payment. So that's like the 4 apples that make up an apple pie.
The 4 apples that make the apple pie. I love that analogy.
Right. Now, if one of them isn't so good, like your purchase price is kind of scrawny, like you're paying maybe $10,000 more than the house is worth, or maybe $20,000 more than the house is worth. Now, that apple doesn't have a worm in it. If it's $100,000 more than the house is worth, that's probably a worm in that apple. And so it's no deal.
Right.
But if they give it to you for nothing down, and give you a 30-year term, and the payment gives you a $500
nice monthly cash flow.
How do you say no to that deal? You don't. And so you take that deal and you pay too much, you get them down as much as you can, and you show them other comps. That's a very good point.
That's a good point.
That if they have some really inflated price, you go to them and say, I love this, I really want to buy your house, but I have a partner that I have to answer to, my wife or my husband, and they think that the price is very high because it's blank over the Zestimate. Now, is there some reason that it's that high? Or, is there a way that you could have some wiggle room on that? Wiggle room is a really good way of
I love
asking
that.
people
Wiggle
to lower the
room.
price. Yes.
Do you have a little wiggle room?
Okay. But as Lynette said, guys, we paid way over what we thought the house was worth if the other terms are really great. And then you just hang in there long enough to see the principal balance get paid down. It's sort of like an axe deal. You just have to stay in there and hang in there for a long term.
There's actually 12 pretty house paydays. That's why we like to set it and forget it. No, I was going to quiz them. Write down the 12. Who knows?
No. We are almost done. We're going too long here.
Okay.
Guys, oh my gosh.
Number four, we're talking about the 7 deals because we want you to be a transaction engineer. Number 4 is rehab. That's the only one that you need money. That's actually the hardest deal. Now, it's great, but it's, if
you've done rehabs or if you have a really good general contractor, it's okay to do a rehab. And if you are going to make 50 grand off it, but remember, 50 grand turns into 20 grand pretty quick when all of a sudden this pops up and that pops up. So if you've not done wholesales, our recommendation is just wholesale that house and move on. You want the quickest return on your cash and time investment, and that could be a wholesale. If you get involved in a rehab, that could be 6 months and you missed out on 5 pretty house deals. Okay.
I actually love number 5. Number 5 is pre-foreclosures. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot coming your way. And guess what? There's a way that you can get a pre-foreclosure with no money down.
We're going to see more pre-foreclosures coming as the market turns. So, and then number 6.
Number 6 is option deal. This is like, oh my goodness, we've been doing so many deals lately with this option deal. That's when the seller wants cash, but the cash does not come from you. It comes from your buyer. Okay.
That's right. So make sure that you are, whenever you hear no to terms, don't automatically hang up the phone and think that's not a deal. Even if they can give you a little bit of room. Now, this is where we're very conscious of purchase price. On a pretty house creative financing deal, we may be a little casual about the price and even willing to pay full price. And that's okay if the other terms are good. But on this type of deal, you want to get it really as low as possible because the only money you're going to make is the spread between what a willing cash buyer is going to pay right now and what you're buying it for. So you might be able to make 10 or 20 or 50,000 on a deal like this. But again, this is a seller who says no to terms and you say, give me 90 days to find a cash buyer and then we'll cash you out.
30, 60, 90.
Yes.
In a hot marketplace, it's amazing because our cash out buyers are paying a lot more than the property is worth in these hot marketplaces. So you don't need as much spread as we used to on these option
What's
deals.
Lori saying? What? Yay. What you say.
Yeah.
What you say is yay.
What to say.
What to say. Okay. So now the last one, the last type of deal you're going to run into is an AX or a signing contract seller and buyer. ACT stands for assigning contract terms system, but it's a kind of a deal where you're getting it under contract, usually a long-term lease purchase. Write that down. This is a long-term lease purchase deal. And you're getting the lease purchase buyer is getting the benefit of the mortgage pay down, the principal reduction. So that's why this is a different kind of a deal. And usually it's when they are asking more than what you think the house is worth, or they owe more than what the house is worth. So this is for over leverage. Write that down. Sometimes you hear that term over leveraged or over mortgage. Now, with the increase in prices lately, there's not a ton of houses out there right now that are actually underwater. That's another term that people use for over leverage. But this is going to be something
this kind of answers Pauline's original question, paying more than the house is worth.
Yes.
You can axe it and get a one paycheck deal.
You can do an axe, you can get a long-term lease purchase and then assign that. But I would rather do a sandwich lease purchase.
Because
that's a really good point, guys. If you are paying way too much for a house, just don't buy it. Just don't take it into your company name.
Do an assignment.
Do a lease purchase. No. Do either an axe or do a sandwich lease purchase.
That's right. Those are the two choices.
That protects you. In fact, we rarely do sandwich lease purchases if we can get our name on that deed. Get the deed or get the door. But in this case, if you're very unsure about the price and you feel like you're paying too much, you can make a lot of money on a sandwich lease purchase deal without ever even making the money on the spread. You're making your money on the monthly and on the non-refundable option deposit. All right, so that's all 7 deals, guys. And so we just are doing a crash course overview of real estate investing.
I love
home
it.
investing. These are all home investing strategies that you can use to buy properties. Remember, some of these ways you do get the deed, some of them you don't. On a wholesale, you don't get the deed. You're just flipping your contract basically on a wholesale. Rehab, you do get the deed. Work for equity, you get the deed. That's your exit strategy. So just AX, you don't get the deed. But now remember, I want you to think about doing a sandwich lease purchase before you ever do an AX and get out of the deal, because there's lots of money in these deals long term. So that's our breakdown of all the deals.
Who would like to see tonight? We're doing Thursdays live with the Wolff couple at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like we do every Thursday.
That's right.
And we're going to be staging a house. You're going to be live with us. Me and one of our acquisitionists, probably Dashel, will be staging the house.
Yeah, we're
having the 1 hour open house this Saturday. So you can watch us staging up the house for the 1 hour open house, which is this Saturday. Yes, we're super excited. We love our 1 hour open house. And who wants to watch Thursdays live and see us staging up the house today?
That's should be a lot of fun and very instructive today.
That's right.
Sometimes we're going through properties we're thinking about buying. Sometimes we're going through properties we've already bought that we're trying to figure out what to do to them. And you guys are always a lot of help with that. I always like to hear from a lot of different people on that because everybody has different opinions.
That's right.
And you actually give us a pretty good cross section and some good advice on how we should fix up the houses. So you guys can give us some advice today on how to stage up the house.
Yeah.
What we want to do for the staging. And as we said, we're doing an open house on Saturday. So I think we're going to do, we might just be doing that one live and not virtual, or maybe we're going to do it virtual too. So we'll let you know, and maybe you can join us on that.
No. Hold on.
Okay.
November.
So,
I meant to say November 20th. Somebody type in November 20th, taking action. We are doing a 1 day virtual taking action. If you could do me a big favor, somebody type that in. 1 day taking action event, November 20th.
Is that a Saturday?
It's a Saturday.
I like Saturdays.
Go ahead
you guys
and type
can
that
normally find the time on a Saturday.
November 20th.
We usually are going to go about 6 hours on that Saturday and really get into some really nitty gritty training that you need.
Yeah. So on this
going.
virtual, this 1 day virtual, which we're doing November 20th, I definitely want you guys to show up. There you go. Taking action. Thank you, Mike. Taking action. Oh, Greg got it too. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
thank you guys.
And oh yeah, you guys are all so good. Thank you.
And you can sign up at Home Investing Academy, and then we can follow up with you if you guys register there for $1.
Or just call 888-RICH now. You guys want to be rich now or rich later? Rich now. That's why we have that cool phone number, 888-RICH now.
Thank you guys. This has been a really great brunch with Brian. Thank you, Lynette, for coming and joining us.
Somebody
Did you know how long
somebody said we didn't match.
Oh, we sort of match.
We kind of match.
Yeah, we used to really be all matchy. Now we try to coordinate more.
Yeah.
So guys, we love you, and we are looking forward to seeing you this afternoon on Thursdays Live. That's going to be really fun. And we will keep seeing you here on Brunch with Brian, and tell your friends. And you know what? We're going to do a sharing contest where whoever shares more with more people gets a prize.
On Thursdays Live?
No.
They should do it tonight.
Yeah.
They should be sharing me.
No, but I'm trying to get Brunch with Brian people.
Oh, yeah. Brunch with Brian too.
Both, guys. Both. We'll do a contest. We'll send you out a
$100 gift card.
Facebook and an email notification.
I'm going to do a $00 gift card to the winner. Whoever shares most with Brunch with Brian, and whoever shares most to groups.
Yeah, let us know if you've been sharing. Somebody told us yesterday they shared with about 5 different people.
Mike shared with Brunch with Brian the other morning.
Hey, somebody's giving us hearts and likes and that. You guys should always do that. We forget to even ask for that stuff.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is the Wolff couple. We'll see you tonight.
Awesome.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Keep expecting success and taking action.
That's right.